Hey everybody, Tony D. This video is going to be a little everything. It's going to be a Piney podcast, a hot take, Hollywoke hot take, a little everything, and webcomic factory. So I just got a little bit of smorgasbord going on too, and hopefully Joan will come over here. Joan, anyhow, let's start with the Piney podcast. I haven't done one in a day or two. There hasn't been much news. The only news is that everybody's crowing that Phil Murphy's a genius because he's one of 3 governors who's contained the virus in his state. The other 2 being Vermont and New Hampshire. I don't think he really has. I don't think you could say that without much wider testing. That he believes it, I'm happy, because maybe he's going to open things up further before our entire economy collapses. But what other governors are doing, other Democratic governors are doing, is exactly what I said they would do. Their plan is simple: spend a lot of money and then ask the federal government for more. In the case of Minnesota, they're asking for money for Minneapolis, which they're not going to get. Also, same with New York. New York changed their laws regarding bail. They had a huge spike in crime. Now they're defunding the police. And now they want the government to, we screwed up. Could you give us a bunch of money to fix it all? No, F you. Why should I pay for that? Because of your stupidity. New York is doomed. Anyhow, getting back to Phil. Because Phil is like crowing and being all, hey, look at me. I think this is a very temporary thing. And it's the usual media maven kind of stuff. Propping up the Democrats. I think, he should open up the state more. I don't think he will, because he's trying to walk that fine line, just keeping the economy just a little down. You don't want to keep it too far down because he wants it to come back, but, it's all about Trump. Everything's about Trump. Anyhow, moving on. Hollywoke hot take. The article Tim Pool was talking about today is in the Daily Mail. It's about white actors, directors, producers, writers not getting work in Hollywood because they're white and they're male and they're middle age. Well, surprise, surprise, surprise. No S, Daily Mail and Tim Pool. That's been going on for quite a while. The woke stuff has been in the queue for quite a while. That's already been happening. It's already been happening. Hollywood has always had a bit of a prejudice against white males because they always want something weird and unusual anyway. And white males, a million white males go to Hollywood to try to make it as writers, especially and directors. And a lot of times they just get shut out because nobody cares about them. But women, oh yeah, come right in. If you're a strange person, if you're just weird, yeah, that's why a lot of weirdos get picked up, right? Tim Burton, he's kind of a weirdo. That's why. He's unusual. Ooh, look at this guy. I found this guy. Maybe he could direct a movie. They like weird because they think it's out there, and if they go with something, it's good up to a point, but they think, it'll go somewhere just because it's weird. That's why they have so many weirdos in Hollywood who go nowhere. I've actually worked on a couple of movies, or at least one movie out there, where, somebody gave me the script and I was reading through it. It was just, man, it was just awful. It was like obtuse, like, I don't know what I'm reading here. And they were just gushing about how great it was. And I just didn't see it. Apparently I'm too pragmatic. I don't know. Anyhow, that's par for the course in Hollywood. Yeah, all the white guys are going to be out of work. But, that happens. And again, the reverse will happen one day. When it's no longer cool and trendy to hire, an all-black cast or an all-Latino cast or all-woman cast. Well, all that stuff loses so much money. They're done with it. It'll be the total opposite. Good luck getting work, all those people who stood in their ivory tower, their black tower or Latino tower or whatever color tower you want to call it. The other things are, of course, all about the riots and Antifa and whatnot. Bit of a setback in Portland There's a story Tim Pool also reported on about something like 59 rioters being cut loose by the local government there. The local government in Portland is just out of sorts. They think that by siding with the rioters, they're going to get something out of it. I can tell you right now, you'll get absolutely nothing. They are coming to get you too. The motto of Antifa, or one of the mottos, is liberals get the bullet too. If those guys take over, you'd be the first people they'd shoot. So yeah, you're not doing yourselves any favors, not even if you believe in socialism and left-wing politics. Short of quitting your job and joining them in the streets, you can't be a part of their world. You can't. If you're a lawyer or a prosecutor and you're cutting these people loose, I mean, I get it. You're trying to like get reelected and you think that might score you some points. None of these Antifa guys vote. They don't vote. They're not. Half of them aren't registered, and the other half don't. They don't bother because you're not a communist. You'd have to be a hardcore. Bernie Sanders is a sellout to these people. That's how left they are. You don't understand what you're dealing with if you think that will get you any mileage whatsoever. But the good news is that there are a lot of counter protests, and I've been seeing that on Twitter. I think it was Long Island had a counter protest, and the counter protests are Back the Blue or Blue Lives Matter. Now, I was never a fan of Blue Lives Matter because it started at a time when it just seemed to be a reaction to police brutality, just sort of a knee-jerk reaction. You know, there are real problems in the police force in the United States. And so when Blue Lives Matter came out, I was just like, oh, come on. Really? You people have every privilege in the world as police officers. You have an amazing pay and pension and power, and you abuse it constantly. Again, this isn't the answer. I mean, you know, I would prefer to back Blue Lives Matter and back the blue than Black Lives Matter any day, because at least Blue Lives Matter means what it means. It means it's about backing the cops. It's not funneling, as far as I know, it's not funneling money to the RNC. Black Lives Matter, to me, as it stands now, is a total sham. You know, there's a real quote-unquote Black Lives Matter that started in Ferguson, but that's been co-opted. And now this new iteration of Black Lives Matter means riots and funny money to the DNC and trained Marxists leading the protesters. So I want nothing to do with that Black Lives Matter. Blue Lives Matter or Back the Blue or whatever, yeah, I'm glad they're coming out. Because what it'll do is it'll show these local governments, oh, there are people who back the cops. Oh, there are people who don't believe all of this intersectional woke feminism and bull crap, right? And once they see that, they will activate the police more. They won't be afraid to send the cops down to round up the Antifa idiots and throw them in jail. Now, just like I gave advice to protesters, I will give advice to you protesters, Blue Lives Matter, Back the Blue, or whatever you're calling yourselves. Numero uno, keep it peaceful. Keep it peaceful. Do not start any violence. You're going to get blamed for it if you do. The media is against you, so do not start any violence. Even after you have to let yourself get your butt whooped, do not fight back. You do not want to win a fight, because if you win the fight, you lose. You will lose the optics war. Doesn't matter. Look at the woman who was confronted in the Chipotle parking lot. This was a woman who defended herself, but they cut off the front of the video where she's being basically harassed, and then all they show is her getting out of the car like she's a crazy woman. They will do that to you. So know that going in. So know that you gotta be wary. You gotta try to protect yourself, but don't engage. Don't engage these people in violence. They're gonna try every trick in the book to get you to fight them. Don't fall for it. Do not fall for it. Do not let Antifa goad you into a fight. You know, unless you know, let them come in and start beating you. Make sure you got video cameras. God forbid you don't have your own video. So, you know, let them put a hurting on you for a little while so you have plenty of video, and then if you retaliate, there'll be no question. That's how clear it has to be. That's number one. Number two, make your message clear. And I think your message is clear. Don't defund the police. Keep it simple, just like that. Back to the police. Don't defund the police. We're here to support the police. Keep it simple. Don't add a bunch of other stuff in it. Don't add other, things about taxes or anything else. Keep it simple. You want the cops. You want cops. That's it. You back the cops. That's it. Don't get into the nitty-gritty of it. Just keep the march simple, and expect to be ignored. You pretty much have been ignored by the mainstream media. Speaking of being ignored, there's a terrible story going around. A few terrible stories. One was a Antifa protester in Portland, or rioter, I should say, got whacked in the face with a tear gas canister. He was bleeding all over. It was terrible. But even worse than that, some people in Indiana got into an altercation, a shouting match. One shouted all Black Lives Matter. The other shouted All Lives Matter. And a young mother, 24, ended up getting shot and killed. It's a disgrace. It shouldn't happen. But part of the thing egging this on is, believe it or not, TikTok videos. And if you haven't taken the TikTok app out of your phone and out of the phones of friends and family, you have to ban this app. This is an app run by the Chinese government. There are no private industries in the Chinese country. They're all run by the Chinese government as a de facto matter. So TikTok has been exposed as being incredibly invasive. It steals all your information, even if you just kind of download it and don't even use it. Get it out of your phone immediately. Do not use it. Do not use TikTok. And one of the things that's the popular video going around TikTok, at least according to Twitter, is I guess you'd call it a lip sync video. And it's basically has people saying the same thing over and over. I'm not going to say Black Lives Matter anymore. I'm going to say something like, these two hands matter, and then I'm going to rock your world, or rock your S, or something like that. This is pushing people to violence. And you can't have that. I tell you, protesters, if you're going to keep doing violence, you're going to keep going to jail. I know you don't think you're going to jail, but people have gone to jail. And even though those protesters in Portland got off, that's a rare exception in the United States. It's a rare, rare exception that happens. In Portland, it's going to hell in a handbasket. So, I mean, you want to go out and live in Portland, be my guest. Be my guest. Live in that hellhole if you want. But it's not going to be great. And no one's coming out to bail you out. The federal government's had enough. It's had it up to here. It's not bailing out Minneapolis. It's not bailing out New York. You think it's going to bail out Portland? You think it's going to bail out Seattle after they defund their own police? No. The federal government has requirements that you have to maintain your city. Why should we pay for your little social experiments? I don't want to pay for it. No one should. And these recent articles that Antifa doesn't exist, that's not true, obviously. Anyone who's watched YouTube videos on this for even a minute can tell you, yes, Antifa exists. Does it have a national organization with meetings and conventions? No. But it does have an organization. It does have some leaders at the regional level. It has some overseas. It is something to be wary of. And but it will be, that is one thing that will be eradicated. The virus isn't going away, but Antifa will, because once the trend dies, you're going to be left with a few hundred of these maniacs who are hardcore hardened criminals, and they'll try to continue their crazy commie lifestyle through the use of crime, but they're going to quickly find that they don't have a lot of friends in the criminal underworld, because even criminals don't like commies.